Kantas. She is an award winner, right? She's an award winner for her work with her book trailers, and we'll talk about that because that's cool. We're talking like today, tomorrow, like this thing, right? I produce a podcast for a friend. It's like me doing a podcast gig. It's easy. I set up at this point. It's easy for me because I've set up the system. So all I got to do is update it, and as long as I update it, it's never going to be a ton of work for me. But building that system and that expertise, I charge for it because you should. You're a freelancer, number one. Number two, like I know how to pitch. So like I just handed in 2 articles to Writers Weekly. Nothing hardcore. I just know what I want to say, and again, I do this all the time. I'm talking to authors, so I've learned an awful lot about this biz, and doing it like this, I can make myself kind of feel like an expert. Now I still got to go and keep pitching and breaking into new magazines and places all the time because that's the secret. And like I said, I mean, once we're done chatting here, I get to send invoice. I can send an invoice. I get to send a tax bill to a magazine because I get paid for that in October. So like I said, I know the first time I tried freelancing, I was like scared to death that things could go wrong. It's not about being scared to death anymore. It's like, okay, I know who I am. I kind of know what I say,
what you can do.
Yeah. So it's a lot easier for me to go get things and make them happen. I had a day job thing. That was they took 3 weeks off for a layoff because of the chip shortage. So during that, it's like, you know what, I'm just going to freelance again. I'm not going to try to get another job. I'm just going to freelance again. And I'm just like, so in those 3 weeks, it was like I got myself in the layoff. I made about 800. Like I talked myself into making about $900 in 3 weeks, which isn't awesome. A ton of money, but it's not bad.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, right. And again, that's not a big right now. Week 4, it was weird because one of those weeks was a fully living wage. Week after was a couple of the other weeks were just like little bits and pieces here and there. So I go back to the day job and I had to actually move our initial chat. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, we were supposed to actually do this last week, but I was working. But it was funny because I don't know why exactly. Because I did everything I was asked to do, but again, I was laid off myself. They said, nope, we're not going to have you back to this place after 3 days. I'm like, okay, well, just keep pitching and freelancing. And then, like you said, it was yesterday. I pretty much talked myself into, like, I'm trying to get sponsorships because, like I mentioned, I might as well because the podcast can pay for itself. I'm good with that, right? And I know, again, I know what I have. I have an audience. So since I have an audience, I'm a smart enough businessman to go, this is my audience. This is how I do it. And this is how, like, you got to think in these terms. And then, like, it's a small but solid audience. I get 400 to 600 downloads on average a week. I hit 1,000 download, like around the 1,000 mark, right, this week, which is like crazy. Now, awesome. Next week is going to be like probably a less of a blip because again, it's like anything else. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But I hit that number, right? Which means that there's people listening to my show, and that's the thing, right? You have to when you are doing freelancing, you know this. It's a business, and you realize like people are watching, people are paying attention, people are listening, people are doing things, and so 5 weeks, $1,500. I'm averaging $300 a week right now as a freelancer. That's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
But that's just one thing, Josh. Freelancing, you can still earn money doing other stuff as well.
Absolutely, but I'm trying to do more as a freelancer because the more I do that way, the more leverage I have with everything else. Right? That's how this works, right? If I can collect, and this is how I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this as a little challenge. I've done living wage as a freelancer once. Can I do it on at least a semi-regular basis? Because if I can do that, right?
Where are you registered?
What?
Where are you finding your freelance work?
Writing.
No, where? LinkedIn,
Writers
Upwork.
Week. Just so I get these like newsletters. I get these newsletters, and I see these open calls for pitching. I pitch. I'm good at pitching. Like it's basically I'm good at pitching. I have help. I have a lot of connections, so friends will refer me to different things as well. I've had some failures as a freelancer too. I mean, that's part of the gig and part of the game. But you learn, right? And everything you see, do, done, you get into a habit. Like I have a list of about 300 magazines to pitch to. Now I'm not qualified to pitch to all of them because not everything's my expertise. But the idea is right. But the idea is when you're doing this is like, which of these can I tell a story in? And if you can do that, you can just start pitching. Eventually, you're going to get like yeses, nos, and that's again that's part of the game.
Yeah. Have you actually put yourself out as a freelancer on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Are you getting any work from that?
Not on LinkedIn. Not LinkedIn has. So LinkedIn's weird for me because my following is growing like crazy. And this is the other weird thing. Like I got an interview by a recruiter for a proposal writing job in Calgary, Alberta. So there's a chance I might be out of here. Like who knows, right? So I have had that happen to me on LinkedIn, but actual freelance work, I also don't feel like I maximize. Like what I do with LinkedIn is I show my podcast content, any written articles that come out, anything along those lines. That's kind of what I focus LinkedIn on. It's like there are some, and I'm kind of like I don't know what the right ad space is for LinkedIn, if that makes sense. Because there's a way to sell there, and I know there is, but I haven't played with it enough to be like, do you ever feel like doing this or this or this? So I've been like quietly updating my webpage. I just updated my podcast services webpage showing like the stuff I've produced. And I'm just like I'm slowly like shifting myself like this is what I do. I'm a businessman. And that's literally my approach. And I feel like that's something like writers in particular have struggled with is because you have to recognize you're a business. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts, and you don't look at what I was reading something on a nonfiction group. It's like, well, there are people that work for $12. You're not those people. You don't want to be those people. Those people, they're screwed, right? Because they're in this churn of I'm stuck writing these crappy articles and they're not being appreciated. There's content churners. You're writing content, you're creating content, but it's worth something. If it wasn't worth something, people wouldn't pay for it. So it's all about choosing who you work for as much as what you're doing. And listen, I admit it, I'm a whore. I will work for the right price. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? I'm not going to sell myself short. Like I would love like there's some things I'd love to do. Like I would love to get into editing comic books. I think I'd be great at that. I've been trying. I do kind of have an editing gig lined up. I got to talk to them about that actually today, so you kind of see where we're at. Like proofing, it's proofreading, but it's also just story structural edits too. I've helped with that in the past. But as a general rule of thumb, right? I'm trying to do a bunch of different things because again, it's not about doing one thing necessarily as a freelancer. I'm a podcaster. I'm a writer. Let's focus on that kind of niche. Let's grow that niche. Let's make a living doing that niche so that most of my life, again, I don't necessarily want to go back. I didn't want to go back to a day job after last year. I went back because I have things like paying an illustrator and stuff like that. But again, if I can get to the point, what I'm more interested in, because again, I know where my money is coming in October, November, December. So now my challenge is can I get stuff coming in September? September is kind of this weirdly blank month, but then again, it might be because I'm moving to Calgary because I got the corporate. I don't know, right? So it's like I'm kind of in this weird spot of I can leave, I can go anywhere and do anything, and we again.
That's good.
And we're in a weirdly strange time too because it's like everybody's going vaccine crazy, pro or con. So it's like I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to kind of hold there either. So it's like the world's kind of in this weird chaos, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it's going to go, and all I can do is ride it, and that's where I am. So.
We're riding the wave. We're just doing what we can, but I love how things have taken off for you this last month. It's brilliant to hear your numbers gone up like that, and all the freelance work you're getting, and I'm really happy for you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you're a rock star too, Miss Award-winning book trailer. She's almost blushing here, ladies and gentlemen. It's funny as hell because she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not doing that. It's like, yeah. All right. See, there she is. Now. That's cool. I mean, you won an award for your work. That's awesome.
I've won. Hold on. Let me just tell you exactly now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've won 8 awards, and I've still got at least another 15 to hear from.
You're not worthy. That's awesome.
There you
go. Come on. Okay, you got. Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to show it. Yeah. Sing along with me. Stone Cold Special Mention Award. Nice.
I got some more to print out that I haven't printed out yet, and then I've got some more. I'm waiting to hear if they've been selected for the international film festivals.
So which is cool. So suddenly you got a movie career and you didn't even realize.
Nah.
Nah.
I've been creating book trailers, and doing my documentaries or podcasts, or just like I did with coronavirus expose. For years, I've just been able to communicate like you do over on camera quite well and chat with people. I'm a radio host, podcaster, and when it comes to the book trailers, I did my own book trailers, and then I started doing book trailers for other authors. And I didn't realise that international film festivals are looking for short film. So I'm thinking short film like a documentary, short film like an animation. So I just sent it in on the off chance, and it got selected straight away. And so I put myself in for a few more of them, and got a bit carried away on the first year. It goes up to...
No. I mean,
I 32 submissions. 32 contests I entered.
Yeah, but so what?
I won't do it again because I've done it. There's except for having the certificates and the title of award-winning filmmaker, it doesn't get me anywhere further. So I won't be doing it again next year, but it's nice to have that title and to put that everywhere and let people know. And
so I'm gonna push back just a little bit. So I got it. See, again, we're talking about business and what kind of hooker I was. See, but I mean, we gotta look at this from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You are a recognized talent for what you do, and dare I say, you've upped your level of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question becomes, and there is a legitimate question to be made of, are you happy helping the people you're helping? If the answer is yes, then obviously you're not going to change too much about what you're doing. But you also now have an interesting opportunity because of your quote unquote expertise, right? You could actually approach more prestigious clients.
I certainly could. One of the awards I won gets me into this lift-off sessions where I get to chat with some professional filmmakers and get in with the people and get to know more and learn more and do some workshops. Problem is, Josh, I haven't got the time.
Well,
it's not for me. That's not for me. I don't want to go into filmmaking.
I'm not necessarily even saying that, although that's cool. And if you could find a way, I think you should, if for nothing else, experience that you probably will take with you. If you can find a way, I suggest as a, not even so much as a, how do I put this? As just for an experience, though, like an opportunity, a once of a lifetime kind of opportunity kind of deal, I probably would tell you just to do it, just for the sake of, look, it may not lead to anywhere interesting, but then again, filmmakers are storytellers too. And you should probably like treat that like that. I can learn something. And if you have that opportunity, you should take it. If for no other not reason, it's not about doing movies or like, it's not about that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I always say that, and I've said this to you and I've said this to my clients, opportunity knocks, you take it. If it doesn't work out, at least you've tried. Well, but I don't have the time. I don't even have the time to read a book, let alone to do some workshops and everything.
In my experience, this is just my little experience, even if you are busy, even ignoring this, I'm going to walk away from this point only saying this. I'm sure there's a way at least to do one, to find a way to do one.
Yeah, if I really wanted to, I'm sure I could push myself and push something back and find the time. Yeah.
Even ignoring this completely, you have credentials you did not have before, right? I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, again, this all comes down to what you want to do with what you've acquired with this. But assuming you want to say, make more money doing, like take this skill you have and make money doing it, which you probably could and do quite well with it if you really wanted to. Because I know there's a lot of authors that are like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with a book trailer. Like this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Right? So what are you gonna do?
I know some people are charging an absolute fortune for a 50-second trailer, and I charge something silly like $35 for a 1 minute, 2 minute trailer. And now that I have the credentials, I can put my price up. I deserve to put my price up. I'm worth it. That's what I have to keep telling myself. I'm worth it. So I think that's definitely what's going to happen. But moving forward, I'll stick to book trailers, my podcast, documentaries, like I've done with the coronavirus. That was a one-off.
Yeah, sure.
I hated what I was seeing on the news, and I wanted to speak to people from around the world. What was going on in their country, really, with the lockdown. This is when it first started, last year, when it first came into a pandemic situation. So I talked to 10 different countries from around the world, and I chatted with the natives about how the government were handling things. And these were little 30 minutes to 1 hour chats with these people. And I put it on a playlist and shared it around and forgot about it. And then when I saw on the international film festivals, I saw submissions for documentaries, and it said 40 minutes. And I thought, 40 minutes. Well, maybe I can put 2 of my interviews together, have a nice start, some music, nice ending, and make a little documentary out of it. So I did. I submitted and I won. And that was just totally amazing to be not just an award-winning book trailer creator, but to actually be an award-winning documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, that's badass. Like Karina Kantas, author, filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker to boot. Right. I'm sure Joe, when he heard that, he was probably like, My God, what am I doing?
Joe was, yeah, bless him. Joe was really, really happy for me.
Sure.
He's behind me 100%. You know, he's watched some of the podcasts that I've done with some famous directors, and he's been keeping. I've been keeping contact with him and letting him know how things are going and what have you. He's brilliant, Joe.
I mean, that's cool. Like I know, like me personally, it's a genre I haven't tackled really, but I've done some film work as film crew, but not actually done film. It's something I've considered because it's an interesting challenge because like documentaries can be very much like one person, but the idea of taking a crew and a cast and making something is an interesting challenge, and I would at some point like to try it. It's not my first love right now. I am having Alice and her group of Argonauts fighting an undead Hydra in the underworld right now, and I'm enjoying that. That's what I'm doing. I don't know how I came up with an undead Hydra. Actually, I do know how I came up with an undead Hydra, but it was just like one of those things. It was like, this would be cool. Like, how do you beat something that's already dead, right? So it's like something like that, right? But again, that's my love. Like, I love telling stories, and I love like using pen to paper and words and stuff.
I love writing. I do it the old-fashioned way, pen to paper, and then I get on my computer. I've got 2 books cooking at the moment. I've got another one with a publisher. All different genres. I write in every single fiction genre you can think of. I have a book published. I've got a pile of them here already, and more coming. And there was one time when I actually retired. I actually did a announcement to all my fans that I was giving up writing. I didn't have the love for it anymore. I didn't have the motivation, and then it came back. I really thought that was it, because I just didn't have the love for reading or writing anymore. I'd lost it when I became ill. Actually, this happened. But it took 5 years, but I got it back, and it's been like a roller coaster ride since, and I'm just not stopping, as well as everything else on top of Author Assist and the podcast and the radio show and writing. It's just non-stop, absolutely non-stop. And I don't sleep. I really don't sleep. I get 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if I'm lucky.
No, there are times in life when that happens. Like right now, I'm getting plenty of sleep. But
I wish I could.
Oh, it will go the other way. It will. Like your body's eventually going to say like this. Your body will go like this. Hey, Karina, you're done. And you're going to like, but I don't. And thunk. Nope, done. That will happen.
Yeah, it's normally. I can go about 74 hours before I get zombified, and I think I'm getting to that stage now. Makeup makes you look really fresh and moisturized face. And the glasses hide all the bags, so no one knows that I haven't slept for 74 hours.
No, like, because what happens is when you're engaged. This is the thing. When you're engaged, like my dad goes through this too, because he has his own business here in Windsor as well. And there are moments he's just so engaged he gets 4 hours, maybe if he's lucky. Some nights. But I also know this too. There's now, you might not be at the point where you can afford it regularly yet. That's also where you go, hey, I got help. Hey, I know people. I got this cool Rolodex of people I can call and maybe get help. And maybe if I have some extra money, pay them. Right?
Yeah, I know. I really should get an assistant. I've got so much work. I should get an assistant. I've been doing this now since 2015 on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it on my own. And it's not a one-person job anymore.
No.
The podcast itself, I don't go live, so there's editing to do. I have the podcast in audio and YouTube show. I do a blog feature of the person, the author or the artist, because I do anybody that works with a pen. so all of that takes time, and then you have to load it all up, and then you have to download it and upload it, and some of that takes like 2.5 hours, and I can't use my computer while that's working, because that then slows down the upload or download.
Yeah.
And so everything has to come to a standstill until that's been uploaded or downloaded. Then I can get back on with helping my clients with their promotion and marketing, before I then go back onto YouTube and upload the damn video. So it's absolute non-stop, and I'm getting like requests, 3-4 requests every day for guests on the podcast. So
I know I have a similar problem. It's like, hi.
Yeah, but you go live. You don't need to edit.
That's not true. That's not true at all. No. I don't have to do like video editing, because this is pretty much like, this is as it's gonna be. But if you talking audio, oh yeah, I spend usually, although it's not perfect, because I only have Audacity, and Audacity can only do so much. You'd be amazed. Like, I spend usually a couple hours. Hey, Jake. Yes, video editing does take a long time. So I'll tell you a fun video editing story. Very fun one. The first time I did video editing was in a city called Snowflake, Arizona. I was taking a magazine course, and we had this idea of doing interviews and doing edits. Well, the gentleman who filmed the interviews went and left, leaving all this footage behind for us to kind of piece and put together. He did such a wonderful job. So the green screen was in different spots. So putting a background into the green screen, it took us a while. We literally were figuring this out from scratch. But because of how he filmed it, there's literally one scene, I'll never forget this. Where he had positioned the green screen. The moment you put the background in, half the person was cut off. That isn't even the worst one. Here's the worst one. The worst one was, so they had this really wonderful idea of putting a green cloth over a window, the front entrance of the school, and do the interviews there. Problem was, it was sunset. And so what happened is, whenever a car pulled out, you see these lights would go across. You can't edit that out. Like, you just can't. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what Like, if it's there, you can't just make it disappear. Especially if it's like traffic lights. So all of a sudden you have this interview, and it was just disconcerting as hell. You see this like these lights go across the screen, and you're like, what do I do? And I looked at, and this was like in 2005, 2006. So this isn't like today. Today you might be able to do something with that, but even so, you don't want to, because it's a lot of work to get it out of there. This is 2005. This is Adobe Premiere version 2006. 2007, 2008. There you go. All right.
I had a guest on, and with Behind the Pen, all I want to know is the guest's name, and make sure that they work with a pen. So it could be an artist, illustrator, it can be an author, writer, director, whatever. And I knew that he was an author, crime thriller. I thought, great. So we started talking, and there's two things I don't discuss on my show, my radio show or my podcast, and that's religion and politics. And guess what his books are about?
Religion and politics.
Religion and politics. So there's me chatting with him, and him being very honest about his opinions and how he thinks about things going over in America, because every single thing that's been happening over in America, he's done a book about, turned it into fiction, using different names, but everyone who reads it will know what he's referring to in real life. So when it came to editing, because I have to be partial, everything that I commented on, whether I agreed with him or not, I had to make myself look good by deleting it all. And so, without me sounding, giving my views over for politics or these religious views or whatever, I said it all on podcast, so it all flowed, but then I deleted it all out, because it is my rule not to push that in front of anybody. People's opinions can, they have their own opinions, they can stay with them. So I don't want that on my show someone pushing their beliefs into other people. But I had no choice with this one, and I mean his books are read by in the hundreds. So it was a good guest to have on the show, and it was a really good interview. But it took nearly 2.5 hours of editing to get it. So I was happy with it, that I didn't say anything that I should have said. When it comes to live, who gives a damn? Who gives a shit? But when it comes to my own, yes, I gave my opinions over, so it flowed, and we talked and we chatted, and like I said, I don't have a script with behind the pen, so it goes anywhere. But after I watched it back, and I had to delete certain parts because of my own opinions coming out, or him being too literal in some places, that had to come out. So I mean, videos like that, you just took 2-3 hours for the actual editing. And like I said, the uploads are about the same time. So I could spend, all day just on one. But then you've got that one behind you that was waiting to be edited as well. When you've got this one, you now have to upload onto YouTube. I mean, people listening now, I don't think they realize how much work goes into podcasts and shows and radio shows and audio podcasts. It's not just about getting on camera and saying what you want to say and interviewing a guest. There is so much work and so much time and effort that goes into it, and I wouldn't change a thing because I absolutely love what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I actually enjoy when I hear. I try to avoid like politics and religion unless it comes up. There's been a lot of my episodes. There's been a lot I call COVID therapy. It's just, but and on one hand, it's like, do I try to fight this? And sometimes it's like I'd rather not. Sometimes it's like it comes up anyway. Sometimes sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's their fault. Right. It's weird because honestly, I do feel sometimes that I think you can have a civil discussion and disagree, and that's kind of like that. Those are sometimes the best conversations, right? And it's like, again, I totally get where you're coming from because I understand it because I tend, like, me personally, I'm what I call politically an atheist because I don't necessarily believe in any one. From what I can tell, like all political systems boil down to two things: is there integrity and is there transparency? If the answer is no to both, I don't care what the system is; it doesn't work, right? And that's my belief. That's it. Short, sweet. People might disagree with me. People might agree with me, and we can have a great discussion about that. But it's weird because we're in this culture now. Like I think it's a worldwide. I don't know how much it is in Europe, but here in North America, it's a worldwide phenomenon now where it's like, oh, this cheese is orange. No, this cheese is yellow. Orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, and it's like, does it really matter if the cheese is orange or yellow? Yeah, all right. But if you want to agree, discuss some things and have nuance and back and forth, there's almost no issue that's entirely a black and white issue, right? So having those little discussions, nuances, figuring out, listening to each other, and compromising, I think that can be a really cool thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we live in an era, for some reason, that magical word of compromise, we never use it anymore, and I'm trying to figure out why. What's your theory?
No idea. We just don't want to get out. We don't want the hassle. We don't need the hassle.
Yeah.
How do you compromise? You can compromise with yourself, but can you compromise with someone else if they're not willing to compromise?
Well, that's what I mean, right? I mean, there's an unwilling, that's what I've noticed today. We're more alike than we're different. I don't really care who you are. I think we all would tend to agree with that. We see things differently. That doesn't, and even if we disagree with what everybody's saying, there doesn't mean there isn't a point to these disagreements, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of what concerns what concerns people are seeing or are more important to them. That doesn't mean the other concerns aren't important either. It's just like now it's like, okay, how do we address this and this to the best, even if it's not a perfect solution because we don't live in a perfect world. How do we address that, right? And that's the best part about listening to different points of view is you can learn things. Again, that's my approach. I don't take it personally if you think the cheese is orange and I think it's yellow. What's wrong with you? No, no. I mean, it's like it doesn't matter, right?
For me, I'm the same though, Josh. Talking one-on-one with someone, I can talk about politics, I can talk about religion, but when it comes to my show and my radio show and my podcast, people have their opinions. Let them keep it to themselves, not press it over, not shove it in someone's face, basically, and that's what I didn't want to do. But I have no problem discussing it.
No, I get that. It's just like that particular instance. It's an interesting one because like you can kind of bend. You have to bend and not. You can bend those rules a little bit in that situation.
Well, I had to. I mean, I had to learn about his books, and I mean, we're talking about police shooting at the school. We're talking about racism. We're talking about the what's his name who's just left. We're talking about corruption. Every single thing that's happened in the US, he's written a book about. So there was no getting past that. We had to discuss the book. So there was no going into, except for the first one, which was about the Catholic Church and the abuse and that went on with the boys and stuff in the Catholic Church, and how the church paid people off and denied everything, and until the Pope finally admitted to everything and apologized. His first book was about that because he is a lawyer, and he got the case given to him of once the case had been tried and they actually won, and the priest got, I know, something stupid like 6 months or whatever. But the plaintiff then said, my two sons have been mentally psychologically upset from this, and we need money for therapy for them to. I mean, they almost teens now, and so that landed on his lap. And after 30 years later, and it's always been with him, wanting to write about it, of course, not being able to use the term the Catholic Church and coming up with a different organization and using different names, but anyone who read the book would automatically know what he was talking about. And that's what he's done with all these issues. So there's no getting past it, but I had to, like I said, I deleted a lot of what I said to him through the podcast. So it's most of him talking about the books. But it's a really good interview that should be coming out in a couple of days.
Ooh. And as Jack says, like all the hot button topics, like, yep, might as well. Sometimes listen, if you're going to go all in, you might as well just hit them all at once. Beep, bang, let's just go. Let's just do it. It's like, I'm going to do it.
I was like, is there anything you haven't written about? Is there any issue that you haven't, gone through?
I get it.
Wow, it's amazing.
But I get it too, because once you here's the thing, right? Once you see terrible things, like once you see the terrible side, like to the world, like if you look at like that. Well, that's true, Jay. But it is a can of worms. But here's what happens when you start seeing things. Because you have no choice. He was in a situation where he had to look at some really deep, dark shit. So there was no escape for him. Here's what happens though. Once you start seeing these things, sooner or later you just can't help but ask yourself, well, if this is going on here, what else is going on? It's just a natural question, and suddenly, before you know it, you go down all the rabbit holes, and then you start seeing the world in a completely different light. In Canada, like for example, we came up with the defining bodies of Native children under school boards, right? But the thing is, I've known this for 20 years because the first time I lived in Calgary, Alberta, it just showed me how cruel we were to Native people. Especially what I saw in Calgary made me go, holy shit. And then you start really looking deep into this and just the history of the abuse, the experimentation, the segregation, and I mean, if you want to know what Canada would do with a segregated population, that's the population you look and you research because that's our history, right? You gotta look at what goes back. You look back or look forward, and you can't help it because once you see it, right, you can't unsee it, and that's just the nature. Like for him, I get it. Like it was like he started here, it hit him very hard, and then you just ask the natural question, what else is there?
Being an attorney and being a lawyer, he was able to take every single issue and teach the reader what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to justice, the good and the bad side of what goes on. And so he was able to take these issues, twist them around so they weren't the same. And like I said, things have changed a little bit, names have changed, but to be actually, he has his name's Mark M. Bello, fantastic author, and his collection is the Zachary Blake thriller series. And Zachary Blake is his lawyer in each of these cases, each of these books, where he goes through and defends someone who's involved in one of these issues that have happened in America. That of course he's writing about, but he won't. Everyone, like I love the way he's done it. I've loved the way that he's brought out these issues in his thrillers, but he's turned it around. But he's also, like I said, he's teaching the reader what goes on behind the scenes and what would happen in that situation when it comes to justice and the Supreme Court and what have you. And he knows, of course, what he's talking about. So that makes it even more interesting.
Before we move on to the next topic, I'm going to answer. Jag, you can wonder about a lot of things, but here's my warning to you. This is a warning. You look too deep, you won't be able to unsee what you see. That's my warning to you. If you really want to find out, it's there. But if you do, you will not see the world the same way ever again.
You go down the rabbit hole and you'll never get back up.
Well, no, it's true. It's true. You might not agree with everything you see, right? You might be able to find other explanations for some of it, but you won't unsee it. Like you just can't. It's just the name. That's the thing about the truth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's just, that's it. This is how the sausages are made in the factory. There's no.
Yeah, once you see that, yes, does it put you off sausages for life once you see how they're made?
Yeah. Jay, I understand, but I always give that warning because we all have that moment of truth moment, and I've seen people break, and I have seen people break with it because sometimes you find things that you don't want to know. And I'm not saying you're not strong or tough because that's not what I'm saying, but I just speak from experience there. But anyway, all right, let's move on to something happier, like polka dots or something to that effect.
Sunshine and rainbows.
I always do that with again, I'm just seeing it. It's like once you see, you can't unsee. It's like you do. Like I've been on your show, and it's like it's cool because it's like I get so many nice things said about me. And it's like, wow, I didn't know I had that impact. No, because I think the easiest thing, I think we all are guilty of this on some level, is we all do these like incredible, amazing things, and I say that with no hyperbole. Like you mentioned this here, you got like 8. How many awards was that when you said to start the episode for your film stuff? How many was that?
12 so far.
12 so far. got 12 awards for her film stuff, for her book trailer stuff, and it's like, it's no big deal, not a big deal. I'm a podcast host. I do a radio show. I do books. No big deal, right? And but the thing is, right? Like, we do take ourselves. I think all of us do this. I think one of the hardest things from a freelance perspective, and this is the hardest thing, you have to kind of shift, like, change the scale. You gotta be like, no, it's like you gotta embrace your ego. This is what I've actually learned about this. You have to actually learn how to embrace the ego a little bit, because it's like, I'm not awesome. I don't do these incredible things. That's not going to sell you. That's just not.
As soon as the first thing I do when I introduce myself to my podcast is I am an award-winning author of 14 books. I'm an award-winning filmmaker. I have a podcast. I'm a booktuber. I'm a YouTuber, and I'm the radio host of the Artist First Radio Network Author Assist Show. You know, that goes in front of every single podcast show.
So it's like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is the award-winning, incredible, one-of-a-kind, right, author hailing from the island of Greece. He is a radio host, award-winning book trailer, novelist, podcast host, and a rock star, Karina Kantas.
You forgot entrepreneur.
I did. Yes, I'm sorry. Well, it doesn't. Considering that intro, I don't know if entrepreneur would have. It's just like, it's one of those really big words. And right, it doesn't quite have entrepreneur. Like, it doesn't quite have that, like, you know. Like,
no, I actually say when I do, I actually say, and I run Author Assist, which helps authors with their marketing and promotion of their books.
Exactly, and that should be on every episode, because you never know. Like, I've learned this. Like, I've been learning this in the last little bit. It's like, you have to shift your ego to the front of the fork, because it's the only way you stand out. I
don't do the show. I don't do the radio show or the podcast to promote myself and my books. No. I hope I get sales from it. When I chat with an author, maybe I mention my books through the chat, but I don't go out and deliberately promote myself and my books through the show. That's not why I do it. If I can get sales from it, then brilliant. You know, even better.
It's more like, it's not really like we're having a conversation. We've talked about, like, you know, like the freelance life and all that stuff earlier, and your like most recent interview where you had to go into places you don't normally go on your show, but like, it's an opportunity, right? And every I just kind of look at this as this, like, I saw a very wise thing said that everything you do is an opportunity to do it again. Right. Mm-hmm. Everything you write, everything you podcast, everything you deliver is an opportunity to get another opportunity. It's how it works, right? It's just like, you do the very best you can. You don't know if it's going to lead anywhere. Maybe not, right? But I mean, you don't expect that. What you're doing is like, I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I didn't expect anything to come from these international film festivals. I interviewed a children's book author, and she told me she won an award for her book in an international film festival. And I was like, how on earth did you manage to do that? And she put it under a short script, and it was accepted, and she won an award. And so when she told me where to look, and I was looking at all the submissions and what they were looking for, and I saw short film, I thought, well, why not a trailer? If they're talking short film, no more than 3-5 minutes long, why not a trailer?
Why not?
And so I entered Stone Cold, which belongs to my book here, Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is coming out in audio this week.
Woohoo!
So I entered Stone Cold. I entered a science fiction one that I did for one of my clients who's blind, and it's got video in it. It's got sound effects. It's awesome. So I entered that into one contest. I won't hear about that until September. I entered the Sing Along With Me, which is actually, it's learning the French song Faire Jacques in Italian or Spanish, and it's actually my daughter that does the singing and the translation. and she's been on video as well. And so I made this trailer, and at the end of the trailer it says, if you would like to read some adventurous children book stories that teach you different languages and history and geography, then go. And so that was the only promotion of the books right at the end of the trailer. Even though it was a book trailer, she did this we did this sing along with me trailer, and that's won plenty of awards as well. So
It sounds incredibly
it's
cute.
really cool.
Well, no, like it's that one in particular sounds incredibly cute. Like even just listening to how you describe that. How old's your daughter?
My daughter is 11, and I have to tell you, okay, she is an award-winning author of 2 books, children's books that she's illustrated and written herself, and she's won an award for. She is an animator. She has a YouTube, she has Instagram, and she has what's the other one? One more, and I can't remember. Oh, she has a Facebook page for her books. Yeah, she helps me with the trailers for these sing-alongs, and she gets paid for them. But she's also helping me now because she's so much into design and animation and using Canva and everything, that she helps me with my book covers that I have to design for people. She helps me when it comes to making graphics, and all of this she'll get paid for, and she's 11 years old, so I'm so proud of her.
So basically what you're saying is she's like,
she's my assistant.
She's smarter than we are, like already at like 11 years old. She's like, she's
oh my God, I was 20 when I had my book first published. 20. She was 7 years old.
I know. Kind of makes us go, I feel so inadequate right now. Like,
oh no, I'm so proud of her. I don't know what's next for her. You know, she's she's won these awards for these trailers because it's her that's doing the singing and the when you hear her speaking Italian and singing Spanish, it's just so amazing. She's fantastic, and she is so talented. I mean, I've got a new client, and we're going right from scratch. I'm starting from scratch with her. We're redoing her books, we're redoing her blurbs. I'm going to go through all her social media. We are swapping, we're changing things. We're just starting from scratch, and Alexia has been helping design the covers. I tell her what I'm looking for and she'll do it, and I'll tell her what needs changing, and then I'll show it to my client. She's happy with it. Of course, I get paid, and so does Alexia. So, and it's really cool.
A couple things, Jag. This is why when I sometimes interview like these prodigy kids, and I've interviewed some prodigy kids, and I'm listening to them. It's like, I did not have this together at 11 years old. What the hell? I was smart at 11 years old, but not like that. And so it's like, okay, wow. Right. But, and also.
Well, I mean, I don't think we had the opportunity to do things like that at our age. I don't think the opportunity was there, whether we were talented or not at that time.
Oh, well, it's not even.
Now it is for the kids.
Well, actually, it's a compliment to you. But first. Right? First, I'm just going to say something. So to Jag specifically. So Jag Trust, see, here's the thing. I encourage people to do their things for this reason. There are people like her daughter in the world that are already doing it. And the only real difference between them and us is they just believe they can do it. So you have to believe that you can do it too, because if they can, you can. So it kind of gives you that excuse to get off your butt and do it. If anything, they're inspirational, because they should be, because that's awesome at what they've accomplished already, right? So that's the first thing. Second, but going back now to kind of what you're saying, it's a combination of things. One is actually hugely to your credit. The technology today is different than what we had growing up. Some of the opportunity, I am certain, if some of the technology was there, like when the technology came, I learned a lot of things with it as it was evolving. I taught myself how to do. I built my own web page with code at like 13, right? Which even today, that's still an impressive. That's still like an impressive thing, right? I was able to do, like I was my first film thing in high school is I wasn't the head of the project, but we all did a spoof of Spaceballs, which is I still think is a hilarious thing. Got my ass. I got my butt kicked in that movie pretty good. It was fun. But like, and then I did my first book at 23 years old, which was like, yeah, I'm smart and stuff, right? But Jag's laughing at me getting my butt kicked. I know she is, but that's okay. But the thing about that, I actually don't know where it is. I don't have it. It wasn't my project, but yeah, I saw it. It was fun. We did some really cool things. That was a very cool class to be a part of. Looking back, it was a really cool class to be a part of. But but the thing is, right? Your daughter is got the faith in herself, and this is actually, I think this is one of the hugest things and this is a credit to a parent. A lot of times, the only limit to what a kid can do is the amount. Sometimes it is up to the parent. If the parent says no, you can't, and the child believes them, they stop, and it's a really easy thing. You have created an environment to nurture that creative genius. Now she might, who knows where that might lead her. Maybe someday.
Well, she's 11 years old, and she's adamant she's going to go into animation.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? See, and I also we should talk after this episode. I might be able to do something really cool for your daughter. Maybe, no promises, but I have a thought. But here's the thing, right? It's a really cool thing to have that environment, and that's a credit to you. It's like obviously. I mean, she got some things from you too.
She's definitely got. I mean, yeah. I sing as well. I used to be a professional singer, and if you hear her sing, her voice is amazing. So she's got her singing voice from her mummy. She's got her artistic talent from her mummy, most definitely. And I'm proud to admit that. Yeah, totally. I'll nurture it. You know.
And she might be a better writer than both of us, all right, and that's okay.
Yeah, who knows how many books she's going to have at my age? Oh my gosh! Well, and like I said, she's got a first award already.
Well, or maybe she doesn't have as many books. Maybe she has a cartoon or a video game, or it's like she goes to places you never went to, and that's the best thing, right? Like you want. I don't have kids, but if I ever do have kids, what I'm going to want from them more than anything else is the opportunities I did not have. Right. And although I can't guarantee what my fortunes will be, like I think the hardest thing for a parent to accept is sometimes life doesn't deal you the wealth card very much. Not every parent has the ability to give that child everything. But really, when it comes right down to it, the most important thing I think you can give your kid, from what I can tell, from what I can see as a parent, is you give them the belief that they can accomplish anything they set their mind to. And give them the tools and the ability to go for it, whatever that is to them. And that's it. If you can do that, you will give a kid everything they need to succeed. The rest is nice. The rest is nice, but it's head heart, right? You have to teach yourself to to do these things, and a lot. Yeah. But I mean, that's it, right? I mean, that's a kudos to you. That's a credit to you. That's a amazing thing you've done for your daughter. And, I can, I can actually see it. Like she's going to go far. And a lot of that has to do with the environment she has.
So. This is Alexia.
Hi, Alexia.
That's Josh. You can't hear him because I've got my earphones on. But we were just talking about you, about your books, and how you help me with the graphics and everything.
So
you get paid.
I hear you're like a better writer than all of us here. It's like already. Is that true? Are you getting there?
He said that you are a better writer than all of us. Do you want to go and get your book a minute? Yeah. It's on the shelf. It's on the shelf where my chair is.
See?
Show it off. Why not?
Why not?
She's amazing.
That's it. But no, I mean, you should be proud. She's a happy kid, and that's a lot to do with her mom. For sure.
There you go. That's her first book. She
Wow.
designed. She actually did. She was how old?
Where? 8.
You were 8. You were. She is on the back. 8 years old.
Oh wow.
And she designed all these amazing creatures herself out of her imagination.
Can you put?
Yeah,
there
on.
you go.
Keep going.
Hold on. There you go. And she designed these creatures. And they have these special powers and they do special things and they have special names. And this is all from her imagination. That one's called Patchy. This one is called Memoir.
Nice.
It's half caterpillar and half turtle.
That's interesting.
And when it talks, the words come up along its belly.
That's awesome.
And so each of these creatures that she's made, they have, like, this one's called Lovey-Dovey, which is half a dove, half a love heart. And they have their own little adventures. And she wrote the stories and she did the designs herself and like little stories like that. And so that was her first book. And then a year later, she went into digital. And so it went from doing hand drawing into digital drawing. And then from then on, it went on to animation. And so she's progressed from there into animation.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do something cool. Like, honestly, Karina, your daughter's amazing. Tell her that.
He says you're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll talk after the show. I have an idea. I can't make a promise. I'm not gonna make this as a promise.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's serious about animation, I may know somebody she might like the doctor. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, and so Jag, like, we don't have any excuses. You realize that, right? Like, you realize that you got no excuse. If you saw that, right? So
who are you talking to, Josh?
So we have a commenter on our Twitch stream. Her name is Jag Travis.
Oh right, okay. Hi. Hi to anyone. I mean, I heard you talking to someone. I didn't know what was going on.
Because this is a live stream, you got to talk to your streamers. I mean,
if anyone wants to ask questions about anything, please put them in because I'm open book. I can talk about anything.
That's right. Well, like I said. And she's saying hi, and she's saying hi to you too, right? And so at this point, I mean, I don't know. I think you talk
What's
about
next?
The awesome stuff. I mean, you got a lot of awesome stuff going on too. Who's your book cover artist? Is her question. Her question to you. Your book cover artist. Who's your book cover artist?
For which book?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Toxic. We've got Stone Cold. We've got Flash of Horror. We've got Illusional Reality. The Quest. Heads and Tails.
Illusional Reality.
Undressed. Illusional Reality. Okay, these two were done by Sharon Lippman from Fantasia Designs. And I actually did the actual creation of it. And then she was able to bring my vision to life. And if you look, I don't know how I can do this, but if you look, there is a how can I do this? Let's try it this way. There is a duology between the covers, 2 people, 2 faces on that one, and the same on this one. If you put it in your hand in the middle, there's actually 2 different characters because both books have the same character with a duology. And even though the actual series is a duology. So that's really clever. Yeah, so it's a young adult fantasy, clean. It was inspired by Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, but there are no elves, there are no hobbits, there are no wizards. Everything is unique. You've never read anything like it. So go out and get them. They're really cheap on ebook, and of course, beautiful book to have on your bookshelf.
See, there you go. See, and like I said, you're a good businesswoman, right? So I mean, good I told you, right? Take the opportunities that are there. Let's see here. Let me think about this wrapping up here. So books are still going to be your first. At this point, actually, this is an interesting question because you do market, like your freelance service, point of services marketing primarily, helping other authors market their stuff. You do a podcast radio show. You're talking. You're dealing. You got to deal with people like me all the time. I know it's a hard job sometimes, right? And finally, I mean, you're still creating your own books and career, and you're just doing a bunch of million things. And it sounds like you got to keep up with your daughter, who might actually be, you know.
I'm so glad I've got her help. I'm really glad I've got her help. Like I said to you before, it's a one-woman business, but now she's been helping out with little things, and of course she's making money from it at her age, so she's saving, and that's teaching her another lesson in life, you know, to save and what money is to be spent and how to look after your finances and what have you. So she's getting that lesson as well.
Which is awesome. No, I bring all this up because it's just one of those things where I just look at it and go, cool, because it's nice to see that like you got yourself like in one sense, and I'll say this, as cool as my last few weeks have been, where I want to get at is kind of where you're at. I'm doing all kinds of creative things all the time, and just again, and I think this is what we have in common. This is what we and you have in common. We like telling our stories, but we also love hearing other people tell theirs too.
Amen to that.
So, Miss Karina, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I think so.
I think so. I'll talk to you enough. It's all good. No, I think so you pitched a couple of your books already, but you said that you got an audiobook coming out in September. So maybe you should talk about that in a little bit more detail. And what else do you have coming up?
Okay, so my first audiobook came out how long ago? A few weeks ago, actually, for Illusional Reality. That is now an audiobook. You can go to audiobook.com and you can get the audiobook for just $10. You don't need to buy it from Audible at double the price. So $10, audiobook.com, or of course you can get it for free when you sign up with them like you do with Audible. And then Stone Cold, which is coming out really soon with another narrator. This is a young adult supernatural thriller. It's based a lot on my own experiences that I went through as a teen, being bullied, and a lot of the anguish that teens go through. And of course, she gets her own revenge nicely in the book. So that's a really cool story. So 2 audiobooks coming out, which I'm really happy about. Broken Chains, which was my last novel, is a dark romance mafia thriller. I put my character through hell and back. I don't hold back because it is a mafia, what goes on in mafia, and it's not sugar-coated. So it is very triggering. And that's why it's called a dark romance. That's with a publisher at the moment, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that. But if anyone wants to read it, they can actually go over to Inkit or Wattpad, look for Karina Kantas Broken Chains, and it's actually on there, the first draft that I ever did. Of course, it's changed a bit now, but the first draft I ever did is on Wattpad and Inkit for anyone to read. I am working on, this will be interesting for you. When a book or a series doesn't sell, there's a reason for it, and you need to look at that reason. And my MC series, which is an outlaw motorcycle club series, so each of these books are about an outlaw motorcycle club and the members, and romance and violence and sex and whatever else goes on in motorcycle clubs. They're not selling as well as my other books. So I've taken a look at them, and it's the covers that aren't doing well. So I've had all new covers made. I am doing because this first book, In Times of Violence, is a young adult edition, I'm currently writing the adult version of In Times of Violence, so it can actually go with the rest of the series, because the rest of the series is adult. I should have done that years ago, but I didn't. So I have new covers coming out for them. I have a new imprint, publishing imprint for these books when they come out. I'll have the new book In Times of Violence coming out. So everything's really exciting about this series, Outlaw. A lot of things that I'm working on, a lot of things to do, and a lot of mistakes I've made with this. And I will hold my hand up to this, and everybody listen, because I don't want you to make the same mistake. When In Times of Violence came out as young adult, I knew that it needed to be an adult version to go with the actual series. So I assumed that when I started writing the adult version, it would just be adding some graphic sex, adding some explicit violence, and there you have it, the same story. Oh no! After writing the dark romance mafia thriller, and going into places I've never delved before, and going so into torture and violence and what have you. In Times of Violence, the first 2 chapters are nothing to do with the young adult book, which is great. I'm writing a new book, brilliant. Unfortunately, the second book, Huntress, is actually a sequel to In Times of Violence Young Adult. So guess what I need to do now, Josh?
Another book.
After I've written the adult version of In Times of Violence, I need to go and rewrite Huntress so it goes with the adult version. I really shot myself in the foot here. Lots of work to do. Very exciting about it though. But
I somehow don't feel you punished yourself that much. Like, oh no, a new book in a world I like. Darn.
No, it shouldn't have been like that. I should have done, like I said, the exact same plot, the same story, the same words, and just made it more adult. But I started it with a totally different scene. It just went on, and it got into BDSM. It's just taken a whole life of its own.
So here's the thing, though. So here's the thing: is like, I'm not surprised. It's why I don't go back. No, and this isn't actually. It's born from a compliment, not from a place. You can't go. But like the hardest thing, I will never rewrite a story I've already done. Because I've mentioned this in a few other interviews I've done with authors. One of my favorite books Terry Pratchett ever did was called The Carpet People. But more than the story itself, it's his introduction that really stuck with me because it made a lot of sense. He goes, "This was one of the hardest books I've ever written because what I was trying to do was I was trying to polish it because I'm a much better writer than I was when Terry Pratchett was 12 years old."
I know what you're saying now. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's the same challenge. You're not the same writer you were.
I can't tame my writing. I can't tame my writing.
It's not even about taming your writing. You're a different person. That person who wrote that book, like your first book, that was the best they could do at that time. You're older, wiser, smarter, but your voice is also very different too.
Very different now.
Right? So it's super hard to go back. You can't do it. Right? That's why it's very dangerous to go back and rewrite a story much, because what tends to happen is I broke one of my novels, right? I broke one of my novels. I had a novel about a virus that made everybody immortal. I love the concept. I really, really do. I broke it because I revamped it so many times that the original voice and what it came out were so different. I broke the novel. I can't fix it, right? I literally would have to write it from scratch and go right. With
this series, it started off being tame and getting more explicit, more violent, and then Road Rage, which was the last one, which I classed as the most violent in the book. It's nothing compared to what I've written for In Times of Violence. That's tame now.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's who you are. Like your imagination's different, your voice is different. You're more comfortable going into these places where maybe as a younger version of yourself, I could see it. There is still a little bit of shy Karina. There is still a little shy Karina to you.
You got to read my stuff. There's
No,
no
no, no,
bloody shy Karina in my books, I tell you.
but but again, that's my point. Right? You're making my point for me. You were as you've gotten more comfortable doing this art, you've gotten bolder, and also not and dare I say it, even as a person, it's made you more confident, and it's rightly so. You've done it like you're accomplished. There's no doubt about that, right? You're right. So it's one of the truth of the matter is you can't go back. You're much bigger as a person. You've done much more. You've seen more. You've experienced more, and that's so it's very like
I'm going to have to handcuff my hands and try not to touch Lawless Justice and Road Rage, because I know Huntress has to change. If he's going to go to carry on with the new In Times of Violence, Huntress, we're going to have to change some parts of it. But I just have to stop myself from touching Lawless Justice and Road Rage.
Dare I say it? You're gonna have to accept a very hard lesson here. And this is the lesson. You're a different person. This is a different series now. If you go down this path, it will become something different. Probably better. There's only one question. There's only one question you're gonna have to ask yourself. And this is it. And if you're cool with it, it doesn't matter. Are you okay? Like younger Karina did the best she could. You're a different Karina. So this would be this Karina's story, not the old Karina's story. And that's the thing. Like you're basically succeeding ownership. Now, if you're okay with that, cool, right? But this is why I will not rewrite anything I've done. This reason right here, because it's easier to do something new. It's much easier to do something brand new than it is to rewrite something.
And this is what I'm doing. In Times of Violence is a brand new book now, but it wasn't supposed to be.
But again, now you know why. Like this is why I said what I said about the carpet people so long ago. This is why right here, because it makes sense. You've come so far, and this is a compliment. Because this is you going into what you do. You're not the same person, and that's wonderful. But that's going to change. And you don't go back to any of your other books ever, even if it doesn't sell. You accept it.
Don't touch them. Yeah.
Just accept it and move on. Right. That's all right, and that's it. Right. It's okay because there's this wonderful thing called a backlist. And when your other books become these months, people are going to go back to some of your earlier stuff. Sometimes they're going to be like, ugh. Sometimes they're like, hey, that's pretty cool. Right? Because it's an evolutionary process, right?
Yeah, it is. It's an evolution. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. What's happened.
Yeah, that's right. So it's cool that you're going to be reading that. We can keep going, obviously, for a while yet if we wanted to. But I think you probably got things to do. So what we should do is, for everything you're doing, where can people find you?
Well, I'm all over social media. I don't use a pen name, so you can find me as Karina Kantas, author assist, or Karina Kantas, author. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on Goodreads. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on MeWe, Facebook, and you can find me where have I missed out? Lots of places. And then my books are wide, so Barnes & Noble, Apple, Google, Amazon, of course. And anywhere books are sold online, you can find my books. Karina Kantas. I write everything from young adult right through to erotica.
Very cool. And this is Karina Kantas. She rocks. And I want to say it's always a pleasure to have her on the show. And she'll be back. I'm certain she will down the road. And we'll probably talk about other things. Maybe I can get her to sing, or maybe her daughter to sing on the show. Yes,
yeah, right. Thank you, Josh, for having me.
All right.
It's been a pleasure as always.
So for everybody watching and listening, so very cool. I'm looking for sponsorships for my podcast. I'm looking especially for September. I'll be announcing my first sponsor next week. And you're going to start, there are going to be one small things, or there are going to be little ad things throughout the Twitch from here on in. I'm looking for books. I'm looking for video games. I'm looking for comics and Kickstarters. I'm looking for author assist kind of stuff too. That's also very, very cool. So if you gotta do so, contact me about it, and we can definitely talk about those things, and how we can make that work for you. Beyond that, Alice Zero, my current release, is is nominated for the Elgin Award. Alice 1, the sequel, will be coming out November 1st. My Twitch is at Just Joshing Podcast. Hit the follow button there. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pentellaresco. Hit like and subscribe there. Beyond all that, stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. Tomorrow, Eating Zing Zin author is going to be in here. He is a Kickstarter comic book creator. Ended up getting an animation deal. So they're going to be talking about that tomorrow night. Thank you for showing up, Jay, for the interview, and to everybody else. Oh, and I have one more thing. First time ever, Just Joshing Podcast. Next Wednesday, it's going to have a live concert as part of its show. Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be early morning for you if you want to come watch it. The band Zoo is going to actually be performing. I'll be doing an interview with them Wednesday night, 5 p.m. That's right. I'm doing. I am never afraid to try brand new things. Yeah, right. Never.
Love it.
So keep rocking. So everybody, keep watching, keep listening. New things are coming. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I will see you guys next time.
Bye.